which will notify you that the recording is ready, and you will also get the slides from us. So if you didn't capture anything, you don't need to take copious notes. You will get everything from us later. So hopefully people managed to join in. My name is Irina Shmakova. I will be your host today. I work for the Department for Business and Trade. And I represent a special team within the department, which is called Expert Academy. I'm joined today by my colleague Robin Hill. You can't see Robin now, I think, but he's helping me with the questions and with some technology today. And it will be 1 hour webinar. We designed it specifically for women based in Northern Ireland who are interested in taking the first steps to grow their business internationally. We also organized a session in partnership with the Federation for Small Business Northern Ireland and Women in Business Northern Ireland. So many thanks to these two partners, to our colleagues, obviously in Belfast, and to these organizations to help us to put this together and to invite the guests as well. And my intention today is not to bore you with death by PowerPoint. I will have a few slides to share with you today, but we would like to keep it as discussion-based as possible, as interactive as possible. I do have a couple of slides, and I will discuss the benefits of exporting. I will talk about the barriers and challenges of exporting today, and also explain a little bit more about the support which is available from my department, from the Department for Business and Trade. And today, we've invited three fantastic companies. It's three women-led Northern Ireland companies who will share their experiences, who will talk about their challenges and successes as they export it. So I will introduce my guests shortly after my presentation. And I also encourage you to ask your questions, because it's obviously organized by you. It's your chance to ask your questions and also to share your experiences if you exported or try to export before. So feel free to send us messages. So we've got Q&A facility enabled. Use that button Q&A, which you can see in the top bar of your screen. Potentially, we will open the chat just as we go with the presentation, with the session. And at the Department for Business and Trade, we believe that it's a very important topic, and the topic of women-led businesses and them being at the kind of a front of exporting. And it should be discussed, it should be mentioned not just around Women's Day, which we, I think, celebrate on the 8th of March. We should talk about this all the time. And as a department, we try to do as much as we can. This month, for example, we saw the launch of the national launch of the Women's International Network, the program which is called WIN program. There was a successful pilot here in the north where I am based, and now we've got 200 women who joined this network. And later in February, I will go to 4 locations, including Belfast. I will meet with that cohort of women, and I will provide some in-person training, and we will talk about exporting to those businesses as well. Just a couple of stats to set the scene for you. So women-owned companies are becoming a driving force of global business. 1/3 of the world's SMEs being owned by women. However, it's only 15% of exports in the UK which are carried out by women-owned businesses, and it's a very large percentage. According to ITC, International Trade Center, it's only 1 in 5 female companies export. So as you can see, both on the UK side and globally, global trade is not gender neutral. There is some disparity which needs to be addressed. And we actually see a high proportion of women-led businesses attending Expert Academy events. We work with a lot of expert champions, and you will hear expert champions quite often today. Those are successful exporters which work with the Department for Business and Trade, companies which are happy to share their time, their business insights. They come to our events. You will meet 3 of them today. So using expert champions and talking to business women, our department tries to send that positive message, talk to women-led companies, and actually highlight the success stories, provide that support as they start exporting. And of course, we recognize there are a lot of challenges as you are doing that. There is a lack of training, lack of access to networking for women, and what Expert Academy does, we try to bridge that gap, and we offer a free training platform, the platform which is available for any business located in any part of the country. It's available virtually, and some sessions are available in person, as I mentioned. So this is where my department and our team, Expert Academy team, comes into play. So I will start today by exploring the topic of the benefits and the risks of exporting. I will mention a few words about the global perception of UK brand, made in the UK brand globally, and also give you a couple of key pointers in terms of your export action plan. I might be preaching to the choir here. You are on this session which is devoted to export skills, and hopefully you already understand the importance of exporting, but I will just remind you why companies actually export and what kind of benefits does it bring. So first of all, of course, it's about increased sales, increased profit, and it's because global market is a bigger market than just domestic market in the UK. So in many cases, your overseas sales will surpass your domestic sales, and the Made in UK stamp is recognized for quality, creativity, reliability, and it can open doors in many sectors for you. By spreading your activities across multiple markets, you can reduce the impact of any kind of a downturn in any single market, and that's that classic don't put all your eggs in one basket strategy. So you can diversify risk, and it's another benefit which exporting brings. We also see that exporting can boost employee morale, it can boost productivity, and exporting companies, as we know today, see higher staff retention. They sometimes even pay higher wages. So that's about motivation of your staff. Expanding into new markets, you expose yourself to different ways of doing things. You can see a new perspective of your products, of your services. So you improve your competitiveness, you gain new ideas, you innovate. In many cases, you will have to face challenges, and I'm talking about transportation, communication, any kind of regulatory barriers which can come along your journey. So that all will enhance your capabilities as well, and improve your enhance the strengths of your business as well. Economies of scale is another very well-known benefit of exporting. So that's when you increase your sales, you buy more raw materials, you buy more components, and this is how you improve your purchasing power, and you improve your margins. In terms of seasonal fluctuations and impact of seasonal fluctuations, exporting can mitigate the impact of seasonal demand, and we see that quite a lot. For example, we worked with this ice cream producer from Devon. They started selling to Bahrain, and that's where demand remains steady year-round. And also, for example, one of the producers here in Manchester, where I'm based, we worked with a company which is producing sun cream. So they started selling to Canary Islands in Spain, and again, that's where the demand is steady all year round. Now let's look at the export landscape, and potentially your journey won't be as straightforward as you can see on the slide, but you should start from export plan. You need to define your objectives. You need to understand what you want to achieve by exporting, and I will come back to that a bit later as well. In order to avoid costly mistakes, you will need to understand the culture, the regulations, the customer habits, even payment methods, because obviously we all need to be paid for our exports. So in order to do all of that, you will have to carry out your market research. You must understand target markets in order to be successful in those destinations. And I remember actually example with Northern Irish company. They are producers of butter. They went, they started selling. They were just about to start selling in the USA, and they did their market research, which showed that they need to change their packaging. And American consumers preferred buying butter in butter sticks, not butter tubs. So they had to change their packaging. And of course, market research was something which was crucial for their success in that market. So utilize tools like market reports, online databases, That's your secondary market research. You can do primary, what we call primary or field market research. That's when you join trade missions, you go on exhibitions, you attend conferences in order to gather those valuable insights into the market. Your approach to customers overseas might differ from what you do in the UK. So you will not know the market, you will not know routes to market, so you will potentially need to consider using agents, distributors. You will potentially be selling using e-commerce platforms, or you will decide to establish your own presence. All of that will have to be researched, and route to market is to be decided on quite early on. International pricing is complex. You will need to consider different things. You will have to think about potential product modifications, customs costs, the clearance, insurance, currency fluctuations, and cost of freight if you are, for example, paying for international carriage. So you will need to put all of that into your pricing. And what I would mention here as well, we see a lot of companies actually underpricing their products and services rather than overpricing, and that can actually undermine the value of UK made stamp, or the UK brand which you are using as a company. Marketing and sales, so you will need to adapt your marketing materials. You will potentially need to work on your product packaging. Your messaging needs to resonate with the local audience, so you will have to tailor your marketing channels to the target market. And you will have to choose the reliable mode of transportation, of course. Speaking about delivery, you will need to choose the reliable partner, your freight forwarder you are comfortable working with. That will be very, very important in your expert journey as well. And of course, you will need to decide on the format of your presence in that market earlier on. Obviously, that can change in time, but what we would like to recommend, avoid spreading yourself too thinly by targeting too many markets at once. Try to focus on one or two and then use that as a springboard and develop your exporting further. And of course, you can see those bubbles above. That's your additional considerations to think about: legal frameworks, cultural differences, Incoterms or international commercial terms, which are a common pitfall for many exporters as they're selling overseas. And of course, partnerships. And those expert champions you will meet today, I think partnerships was the common theme quite a few people mentioned. So partnerships which will add value to your expert journey, that's quite important as well. Just consider this on the slide. Fewer than 1 in 10 UK companies export regularly, and yet exporting accounts for 25% of our GDP. And of course, that suggests that exporting companies, they tend to be larger, they tend to be more successful. And of course, companies lack the skills, they lack knowledge to sell the goods and sell services overseas. And that's where, again, our department and Expert Academy comes in. I will explain a little bit more about our work later. Just to mention a few challenges, we spoke about rewards, but of course, exporting comes with challenges. And the first one is increased costs, because you will need to develop your export sales, you will need to develop your markets, you will need to find customers, you will be working with partners like shipping companies, freight forwarders, customs agents, and so on. So all of that will eat into your margins, eat into your profits. And if you will think about product modifications, they can be sometimes quite costly. So those are increased cost risk which comes with exporting. Additional risks can be related to country risk, and it can be as simple as adverse weather, for example. If you're selling chocolate to a tropical country, of course, you will have to think about the mode of transportation, how you're going to sell it, and vice versa, freezing temperatures. And if your products are sensitive, you have to think about the climate risk, political instability, any kind of conflicts which we can see unfolding in the world at the moment. So that's wars ongoing in Ukraine and the Middle East. All of that can pose significant risk to your business. So you have to be careful thinking about country risk, and you have to do your market research as well to prevent any risks like that. Trade barriers, barriers to trade can be split into tariff barriers, as you can see, and non-tariff barriers. And when I say tariff barriers, those are duties imposed by other governments, and if it's non-tariff barriers, this is related to regulations, standards, something again which is imposed by the nations, the governments, but it's not related to tariffs or duties. Compliance with customs and shipping regulations will be crucial for you as an exporter. That will help you to avoid any delays, any other issues related to your delivery. So proper documentation is essential for you. And obviously, when we are navigating distance, selling over borders, there will be always concerns about getting paid. You might not know your customer very well. It might be initial stages of your business history. So you will need to think about getting paid, payment delays, currency fluctuations, because some currencies are adverse, they're weak, so there will be some fluctuations. So you will need to think about financial risks related to that as well. This is the slide just to highlight the perception of UK brand globally, and made in UK brand is well respected overseas. And I think it's a great motivation for and encouragement for companies on this call to think about what the survey suggests. So that's a survey carried out by Barclays Bank, and it discovered that more than 1/3 of respondents worldwide had knowingly paid a premium for a British-made product. So that's, I think, a great encouragement of that. And obviously, for the sake of the time, I'm not using what I normally use in this presentation. So when I've got an hour to talk about this, but there are other surveys which confirm that UK exports are ranked as the 4th in the overall scale. So the surveys say that some buyers, for example, Chinese and Indian customers, prefer to wait for UK products to come in stock rather than buying alternatives. So I think we should keep that in mind when we think about our pricing strategy and when we think about destinations where we sell as well. So is there an opportunity for you? And most goods successfully sold in the UK can potentially be sold in other countries. You need to consider what is that international appeal in your product. What's your USP? What's your unique selling point as you go international? And some products may need alterations, as I mentioned, or modifications that can be with regards to their technical specifications or packaging or user instructions. You will need to understand local culture. You will need to understand infrastructure, laws, climate in that destination market, and that can all affect the customer requirements, which you will need to understand, and you will need to adapt your products, your services to meet those local needs. I will highlight again, we talk about market research a lot on Expert Academy. We've got several sessions devoted to market research, and you can attend all of them. So I'll just mention that it's extremely important for you to carry out your market research. You need to understand your target market, and you need to tailor your strategy in accordance, in line with your market research. A few words with regards to health check before you start exporting. So you will need to understand that successful exporting will require firm commitment. It will be required at all business levels in your organization, and you will have to assess the impact of exporting realistically. You need to understand it's not something you will be doing just on Tuesday afternoon. That's something which demands significant time, demands resources. Ask yourself this question: is your business strong enough to commit? Would it not divert you, for example, from some important domestic activities? Do you have the capacity? Can you meet that additional demand? In terms of finance, exporting can stress your financial side, especially when you start, because in terms of short-term financial impact, that can be quite significant. But as we say, even domestically, same applies to international sales. When you win a new customer, it can cost up to 50% of your initial sale, but then repeat sales, they become typically cheaper. That's when you already understand the paperwork, you understand tariffs, for example, so you can plan accordingly. And of course, there will be some uncertainty. We always say exporting is not an exact science. Even market research is not an exact science. We all know, I think that example of Tesco, our big household name, and how that business managed to misinterpret their market research as they were trying to start selling into the US market. That was a failure. So it is possible, and the element of uncertainty will be present, but you will need to prepare yourself as much as possible and understand the risks which come with that. In terms of logistics, every market is different. Delivery may take sometimes months, especially if you're selling to remote markets. Payment terms can differ from market to market. Again, there can be some different payment culture in different destinations. Sometimes they're shorter than in the UK, sometimes longer. And also your trade cycle can be quite long depending on your credit terms. And when I say trading cycle, that's from the moment of quotation, when you agreed on the price, and then when money actually come to your bank. So depending on the credit terms you've got, on the method of payment you've chosen, it can differ. So think if your business is resilient enough, if it's strong enough to handle these pressures. And of course, in terms of human resources, it will be time commitment. You will need to involve your senior staff. Regular visits might be required as well to go into that market, and new skills, new knowledge will be required for successful exporting. So you will need to consider training. You will need to think about recruiting some key staff to actually deal with the paperwork, look at export procedures, logistical issues, and so on. And in terms of marketing, returns on exports can be slower than on domestic sales. So that's something to keep in mind as you start exporting. And new exporters will need to create that awareness in the target market. Your product will be competing with things which already exist in the market, and it will be potentially some kind of resistance from the consumer side. But then continuous sales and promotion activities will be required, and you have to be persistent with that. You will need resources for that as well. And lastly, I would like to highlight the importance of having a solid export plan. We've got this 7 steps on the screen for you to think about. Again, on our website, which I will refer to just in a second, you can find a very useful tool which is called Create Your Export Action Plan, and it can help you to go from from point to point, cover each of the 7 elements and help you to create that export action plan. You can find some sample export plans there as well, so you can have a look at our website and work it out for yourself. So I explained a little bit about Export Academy, but I would like to add just a little bit more. So UK Export Academy is a free training program for all UK businesses of any size, businesses which look to grow their international sales. And it's completely free. I would like to highlight that it doesn't cost you anything. You can do it online at the time which is convenient for you. You can do the entire course, or you can pick and choose and do the sessions which you think will be most beneficial for your business. So yes, with this course, we helped UK companies to understand the practicalities of exporting. We help companies to select the markets, make decisions about the markets, find opportunities overseas. And the offer consists of these 3 parts. So basically, we've got we used to call it essential course or foundation course. Now we've just introduced the new product called How To Series. So it's kind of a step-by-step guide to help you to become an exporter. It consists of 11 introductory modules. As I said, you don't have to do all 11. You can pick and choose. Second level is masterclasses. This is where we look into topics in more details. It's specialized areas, for example, masterclass on international finance or intellectual property or e-commerce, if it's the route to market you choose, digital marketing as well. And lastly, we've got markets and sectors. That's events which are dedicated to specific markets or specific sectors. And that's where we offer practical advice and tips which will be relevant to that destination or that particular sector. So that's the next stage potentially after you've done maybe this first 2 steps. In addition to UK Export Academy, we have a lot of other resources. And as I said, the first one is our website, great.gov.uk, which has a range of self-service products and tools. You can register on that website. You can subscribe to business opportunities. You will be able to get them into your mailbox. You will be emailed, our colleagues overseas actually responsible for that. So you can access our events calendar. You will be able to see what trade missions are taking place. You will find a lot of tools, links, materials, which will help you to learn about exporting. Through this website, you can also get in touch with our expert support team. Expert support team is that kind of quite a new actually team which provides day-to-day support to SMEs and also larger companies as well. And it works as a digital inquiry service. It allows you to ask any kind of technical questions, something you stumble on. For example, you've got a particular question related to some paperwork. If you're selling to Taiwan, for example, you can send that question to them. Simple inquiries are usually answered within 3 working days. Anything more complex requires more time. So that's something to be aware of. Apart from Academy, you can use ESS service or expert support service. We also run a network of international trade advisors. ITAs, we call them, international trade advisors. They provide companies with that one-to-one specialist guidance. And I will also note that you will have to comply with a certain criteria. You have to be a business of a certain turnover to use their services, or you have to be a high export potential business. So you will need to be at your sort of at that stage in your development that you will be ready to export. So international trade advisors can assist you with export advice. They can help you to enter new markets. They can help you with navigating export regulations in the markets of your interest. And there is a lot of support they can offer on one-to-one basis. Speaking of in-market support, Department for Business and Trade has an extensive network of advisors which are actually on the ground. They are kind of your ears and your eyes. So we've got offices in over 100 countries. So that's our colleagues based in embassies, high commissions, consulates. So they provide tailored support. They can help you with, again, specialist information about that particular market. It can be either one-to-one bespoke advice. They can provide some off-shelf information on some particular sectors. They can put you in touch with some distributors. They can help you to access that kind of network of third parties which you can work with, for example, some kind of tax advisors or legal advisors located in the market. So that's our international market service. And I mentioned the UK Export Champions program already. So that's another program which complements ITA support we have. So as I said, that's successful exporters, companies who are experienced in international trade. We work with over, I think, 400 companies at the moment. They are ready to share their business insights. They encourage, they inspire new exporters to do the same. They act our role models. They speak about on our campaigns. They promote DBT policy, and you will meet 3 of them just in a second. I've put together some links and the list of services we have on the slide, and you will get the slides from us later. I did a whistle blow tour here, but you will get all the slides later. So just make sure that you have a look at these links later at the time of your convenience. And as a last slide, I will share that QR code in case if you are interested in Expert Academy. Just feel free to scan this and join Expert Academy and use our services, join our sessions. At this point, I will stop sharing my screen. I will come back to the room now, and I would like to bring in my guests. If you could just switch on your cameras, please, and your microphones. And I suggest we go into the panel discussion. I've got today 3 companies. I've got Linda Stinson. Linda is the founder and creator of the company called Billy Amanta. And Billy Amanta is the company based in Northern Ireland, of course. They sell a range of self-tan products and also cosmetic products, including skincare and makeup. We've got Susie Hamilton-Stubber. Susie is the founder and director of Bar and Balsamics. And they produce quality vinegars, chutneys, condiments. I think they're selling to Harrods now as well, working with some airlines too. And I've got Joanne and Jackie. They're co-founders of the company called Kinsetsu, and they are innovative platform to help organizations to consume data in a more visual and meaningful way. So we've got a selection of businesses here to talk to. We've enabled Q&A. I'm just about to go into some questions with the companies, but I would like to motivate people on the call to ask questions as well, and ask questions which you think to expert champions. That's your chance to do that today. So I would like to probably come to Linda first, and then Susie and Jackie and Joanne. Linda, could you just introduce yourself? Tell us a few words about your company, and tell us what actually made you think of exporting, of selling overseas. Were you busy as a domestic business? How did you find time to start exporting? So basically, how did you start your export journey?
Hi everyone, I'm Linda. I own Bellamianta and Iconic Bronze. So we probably started our export journey. We started it at the beginning. We actually thought we'd go straight into the US, and that was a big mistake for us. Cost us quite a bit of money, and let's just say it was once bitten, twice as shy. So we sort of repositioned ourselves and looked at the market and thought, right, where can we actually go to? So what we did is we went and we exhibited at Bologna, at Cosmoprof in Bologna, and it's probably one of the biggest shows for like beauty, and you meet a lot of buyers there. And from that there, we've actually went into 10 different countries. But what we've kind of done is we've looked at the low hanging fruit. So those European countries where it's going to be a lot easier for us. And let's just say you don't need as deep a pockets for marketing as you do with the US. So that has been our export journey so far. And it was kind of looking at, those countries, those English speaking countries as well, that didn't need a lot of change of packaging and stuff. But we're actually looking at France at the minute. So there is a lot of changes that we have to do to our packages for the French market.
That's great. Thank you very much, Linda. How about Susie? And Susie is from Baron Balsamics. I will just remind everyone. How did you get into exporting? Can you just tell us a few words about your business as well? Susie, you are off mute.
Sorry. Yeah, I'm off mute. Sorry. We started really exporting towards at the beginning of COVID through third-party websites, and then we virtually attended Gulf Food with Invest NI, and that produced over time some sales with Spinneys and Jones the Grocer. We then went to a Meet the Buyer event organized by Southwest, and through that we exported to Mexico. That was tricky. Getting the labels right for that was very difficult. They concentrate very highly on sugar, and everything has to be. So there were a few problems with getting it there. First of all, it was to go to Italy, to go to Mexico, and then it ended up just, I think, going out of the UK. Took a long time to get the stuff in once it got to Mexico as well. But that was all organized through DPT Southwest, so that was great. We have attended, we do supply product onto airlines, and that has been very good for brand recognition, actually. And from that, we've exported also to the States, but generally that's just B2B straight off. So that's quite an easy thing to do. We are going back to Gulf Food this year in 2 or 3 weeks. So hoping to build on those. We went last year as well, but to build on those relationships.
That's great.
Further export them.
So it's a good kind of what we talk about at our market research session. We talk about the importance of attending exhibitions, and I think it's 2 great examples. How companies use that method of getting into the market, find connections, introductions, attending exhibitions. Thank you so much for that, Susie. And how about Joanne and Jackie? Could you tell us a few words? How did you get to where you are?
Yes, thank you, Irina. I'm delighted to be here today. So for Jackie and I, we always knew that we were going to export because we have a technology platform. So we're a software company. We are based in Belfast, and we use various different types of sensors to connect to physical assets to help solve our customers' problems. And whenever people can't find something, whether it is a piece of inventory, an asset, a vehicle, or whatever that may be, as part of their supply chain and their production line, or within healthcare, it doesn't really matter. That problem is transferable to manufacturing throughout the UK, but also throughout Europe, and then also into the US and Asia Pacific. So because we're a cloud-based organization as well, like we felt that we felt that it would be easier than it is, let's just say, as well. So we've got some bruises along the way. But our very first engagement in relation to export was into the south of Ireland, actually. And it was one of the biggest brand names that everybody here will know, and that was with RTE. And we were really lucky that it was with RTE instead of, we had opportunities in the US and also in Australia, because a month after we signed that contract, COVID hit. And that had an impact, I think, on everybody that was trying to export. But for us, we have learned a lot along the way, and obviously we'll share some of that knowledge as we go through on the Q&A here today. But yeah.
Fantastic. Thank you so much for that. Excellent. I've touched upon, and I think that's a question to everyone again. So I've touched upon the perception of British UK brand, made in the UK product, service, the perception of it all globally. So do you think it helped you to be a UK company to sell overseas? Was international audience, people you spoke to, were they more perceptive because you were a UK brand? And that's a question to everyone. Can you think of those situations when it actually helped you? Because we want to encourage people to sell themselves better, basically. And we see quite a lot of examples when companies underprice and they try to compete with those, cheaper products and services and actually undermine what they've got. Do you have any views on that?
I think
Certainly.
Sorry, go ahead.
You go, Linda.
No, I was just going to say, I agree with what Joanne said. Obviously, we're based in the north of Ireland. And the first export that we did, we were actually probably bigger in the south of Ireland before we were in the north. So, that was a very, very easy baby steps to learn from before obviously going to, countries outside of, the UK and Ireland.
Yeah, perfect.
Yeah. Yes, we exported, I suppose, to the south of Ireland from day one almost. And as a brand became reasonably well known. I definitely, when we exported into Mexico, we were alongside Walker's Shortbread and Whittard's Tea, and so yes, it was a very British setup, and definitely helped. And also for where our products are going, we rely quite heavily maybe on the expat communities.
Yeah, and Susie, obviously you've got kind of Harrods as a brand now as one of your customers, isn't it? Did you manage to kind of optimize, maximize the effect of that? Because I've noticed that there was this travel company we worked with, and they've realized at some point that they've got a lot of American customers, and they were after that. British, everything British. So they started using, a lot of Union Jacks, and everything on their website just to make sure that that is branded as a British product. So I think Harrods is a good addition to your overall.
As a food product, the buyer from Mexico went into Harrods and saw it. And the Dubai people. So yes, for us, it's been a fantastic showcase. We haven't necessarily sold. Harrods don't take a whole lot, because they don't have a huge amount of shelf space. But for the other products, it has got us into places. Yes,
fantastic. Yeah, thank you so much, Joanne and Jackie. Yeah, how about yourself?
Yeah. Definitely. And I think it was more about where we were solving the problem, because we started our business within the NHS, and everybody across the world is very much aware of the NHS. And I know it's a challenge system at the minute, but it is revered across the world in relation to being a public service. So whenever we went down to Australia, the fact that we were solving some problems in a very tight, budget constrained NHS, then that definitely helped us. I think also, Jackie, with the Royal Navy. So that would be a key customer of ours, and it's very transferable.
I just think it's highly credible to say that you're working with the Royal Navy, a very harsh environment. And I think the use case in the Royal Navy is about safety and saving lives at sea. And I think anybody can identify with that, and particularly any naval nation. So that's a story that has landed very well and opened doors for us in export markets as well.
That's great. Yeah, thanks for sharing that. I was just about to mention NHS, yeah, in connection with your work. Yeah, that's great. And Royal Navy. I remember when we had the pre-meet before the session, Linda, you mentioned pricing as something which, exporters need to be careful about. Pricing issue is something which we asked a lot about on Export Academy as well. And, I spoke briefly today about the complexity of it as you think about exporting and all those factors which eat into your margins, things you have to think about and you potentially miss. Do you have any comments on that? I will go to Linda because I think we've mentioned that in our meeting before, but for everyone to think if you can add anything as well.
Yeah, well, we had to really sit down and actually look at our pricing structure for other countries because you find in different countries actually they'll pay a lot more for your product than they will probably sometimes in the UK. But it's also factoring in those costs, so the shipping costs, the export charges, and also if you're working with a distributor and their expected margins as well. So we basically had to do a complete different pricing structure for export.
Interesting. Yeah, thanks a lot. Yeah, that's great. Any more comments from anyone in terms of pricing?
I think we've had a recent foray into Saudi Arabia, and we've had some very good advice from Liz McCrory in UK Export Finance, and a bit like you said earlier, Irina, just about increasing the pricing because you've got a sort of middleman market there that you need to take care of as well.
That's right. Yeah,
that's been invaluable.
It has, yeah.
That's great. If we speak about partnerships, and I think I'll go back to Joanne and Jackie, because I think, again, when we had the previous meetings, I think we both highlighted the importance of partnerships when you start exporting and all those kind of business associations, sector organizations, chambers we talk about on Export Academy, how important that is for new exporters to get connected. And you can progress exporting much quicker if you are introduced to, the partnerships which can take you to the next level. Joanne, I think you mentioned something about partnerships before. Can you speak about this for a bit for us?
Yes, and we are really passionate about that because we spent quite a lot of money, which was very valuable to the company. But whenever you're going to go and do trade missions and you're going to work with any organisation, so we worked with ABHI, we worked with InvestNI, we worked with yourselves, obviously, we worked with European Connected Health Alliance, but you go and you will do trade shows and you will be put in front of chief executives of healthcare systems or, people within the defence or various commercial markets. But you're meeting them for an hour, right? And what we learned along the way was, had we spent more time in building and organising relationships with partners who are there every day, who already have a relationship, who have got a trusted relationship, that can walk in and have a cup of coffee, that will resonate more with the partner bringing you into that conversation, the follow-up from that partner, the engagement and continual engagement. Because as a small business, and I'm sure Linda and Susie will account to this, you have to be very focused and dedicate time to growing that export market. And particularly in the States, they expect the co-founders to be at those meetings unless you've got someone very senior from a partner. And I think, don't go into it lightly and work those partner relationships as much as you will work any event that you attend or any direct, engagement you have with a client. The partners, I feel, are fundamental. Yeah.
Excellent. Yeah, fantastic. Linda, Susie, do you have anything to add at all? You don't have to, but if you have any comments.
No, I would agree. Sorry, me and you keep talking.
No,
I would agree. Like, partner relationships are so important. Like, people buy people, and if you're trusting somebody, say if you give them exclusivity within within their country, you're trusting them to actually represent your brand that that you've built, that's your baby, and you're trusting them to grow it and to grow it in line with your business expectations as well.
I'm going to go slightly against this. We work very closely with InvestNI and with yourselves. But for us, when you're selling a bottle of vinegar at a trade price of £6, it's difficult to involve partners, commercial partners on a big scale, because there is only so much you can sell that bottle of vinegar for at the end of the day. And so we have to try and do more working with the partnerships, the wonderful partnerships that we have. And let's face it, we are put in front of some amazing people through the DBT and through Invest that we would never otherwise get the chance to be with. And therefore, we like to try and focus on that and make the best of that.
That's excellent. Thank you for this comment. That's really, really good. I've opened the chat just now for everyone who is on this call, so you can start sending your questions through the chat if you feel that's easier for you to type things in, because you've got this 3 fantastic companies and you can ask about their exporting experience, yourself. But I'm still asking my questions. I think I've touched upon in my presentation on getting paid, and obviously that's a very serious consideration. And I know all of you work in different markets. Some of them are quite remote markets, very different culture and all of that. Getting paid and managing your risks related to currency fluctuations or the method of payments, you choose with your customers. What's your best recommendation to UK exporters on this front? Do you work on advance payment method most of the time, or do you use open accounts? How does it work for you? Or did you kind of change your how you work in time? If you have any comments, I mean, you don't have to tell us about it, but if you have anything to.
For us, when we're selling into a new country and it's a new relationship, a new partnership, we would always ask for payment up front before shipping, for the first drop, and then we'll maybe move into like 30 days, and then as the relationship grows and maybe the orders get bigger, we look at like increasing those credit terms. But I would say for any new account outside of the country, we would always say payment up front for the first order.
That's great. Yeah.
We would
same for you, Susie.
Yeah, we would say payment up front for the first order. And then sometimes it's going to a UK shipping port, so it'll be paid when it gets to there. And then
to the port. Yeah. Thank you so much. Yeah, Joanna, is that the same for you? Because obviously that your product is different. It's kind of more kind of intangible, isn't it? So it's
yeah, and at the heart of what we do, we have a product, and it's a visualization platform, almost like Google Maps for someone's environment and assets and environmental data and flows. So what we do is that's very visual, and they pay for the license of that right away. And if it is someone that if it's a government body, probably we wouldn't expect it up front. We'd expect it within 30 days. But someone like buying a Microsoft license, for example. But if it's someone that we wouldn't know, we would say for license payment up front whenever we bring that environment up for the customer. And then because of what we do around, sensors and attaching that to assets or within an environment, we then do what you would call milestone payments. So as we're delivering part of a project and the customer's getting the benefit from the data anywhere in the world, effectively, then those milestones, we expect payment on delivery of that next stage, effectively.
Excellent. Yeah, that's a very good method. Yeah, thank you so much. Actually, on this Friday on Expert Academy, I will be delivering a module on getting paid. So if any of companies on this call want to learn more about advance payments or how to mitigate the currency fluctuations as well, we do give some advice on that. So just a shameless plug from Expert Academy again. Thank you so much for that. My last question, I think, would be about adaptation to the market. Yeah, so I again spent some time today talking about adjusting to the tastes of the local customers, potential product modifications, which can come, quite costly in some cases. I think the example of Tesla, for example, they had to change the, headlines in their vehicles, which is, astronomical cost. And I think labeling came into our discussion earlier. Obviously with physical products, you have to think about labeling. Is there anything else you would like to add, for the benefit of the audience today in terms of adaptation and product modification or service modification to your customers? Was there anything specifically you have to think about in terms of your business when you looked at, for example, some completely different markets? What things did you have to consider?
I think for us, when we were doing the rebrand for Bellamy Anta, and we really wanted to export our products. A lot of our products previous to the rebrand would have been actually printed onto the bottle, and that didn't really. It didn't give you, you know, any room for adding other languages. So what we decided to do was actually use wraparound labels with the pulley out bit at the back, and also when it's not printed on the bottle, you have a lot more flexibility when you're using a label instead of, you know, actually printing straight onto the packaging. Now, obviously, in terms of unique cartons, you do have the opportunity there where you can put in leaflets and stuff, you know, with the different languages on it. But that was a big learning curve for us at the start.
That's great, Linda. Thank you. That's very interesting. Susie, did you have to do anything in terms of? Oh, you're on mute.
Mute.
We're very lucky, really. We can just change the label on a bottle and
Okay, so that's just
put Arabic on it or put whatever on the
just
bottle.
a translation. Yeah, that's great. Yeah. Joanne, I would be interested to hear from you as well, because obviously you've got slightly different.
Yeah, and we do, because you know, in relation to frequencies of sensors, it's different in different countries, you know, particularly in Asia Pacific and the US compared to here, so we have to be wary of that. But our guys are great, they're on top of that. We decided, the same as Linda, you know, to go to English speaking organization or countries and regions, and not to kind of, you know, go and be changing a language pack in the application. You know, we're a small company and we just felt that was best first, Jackie.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah, thank you so much for sharing that. I would like to invite, we've got 10 minutes to the end of the session. I would like to invite any questions. If anyone has any questions, send them through the chat, because we still have a few minutes left before we finish today. And I think my last question, the very last question from me, would be about being a woman and exporting. You know, what kind of experiences did you have? Because obviously, as we go in different destinations, the perception of a female doing business can be different. So can you just share with us, did you experience any difficulties? Or I hear that sometimes companies say it helped them, because women, I think one entrepreneur told me that, you know, people connected with me better because I am a woman. So that's the opinion I've heard. I know Joanne has something different to say, but yeah, we will. Do you want to start, Joanne? Yeah.
Yeah, well, you know what, I must say, mostly it is very, very positive, right? You know, and I think that's great. But the one thing that really made Jackie and I laugh, and we still talk about it today, is, you know, and getting to Australia is not an easy feat, particularly whenever you're a traveling coach, because we've no money to travel any other way. So you're exhausted, you're arriving there, but we're so excited about our first meeting. And Jackie had to go and into Sydney first because of a separate engagement she had. So it ended up that it was just me getting in to see the head of clinical engineering for a big healthcare system. And I went in super excited and shook his hand. He goes, yes, but he's looking around behind me, kind of thing. And he goes, where is Jackie? Where is he? And I said, well, actually, I am Joanne and I'm one of the co-founders. And Jackie, she is in Sydney, because we were in Melbourne. And he goes, oh, right, sorry. But then the initial thing was, where's Jackie? Because he's the guy, and he, you know, thanks Joanne, but you know, and it really still makes us laugh today. Now, he was an absolute gent, and you know, we all saw the funny side of it. I think in general it's been positive, but you do have that scenario sometimes, and I think we all experience it in our lives, you know.
Absolutely, yeah.
You can find that in meetings sometimes if we're there with one of our architects, and the conversations might be diverted to the guy in the room, you know. So, but we laugh at it, right? You know, we don't take offense, but generally it's quite positive.
That's great. Thank you for sharing. How about Susie?
I'm very lucky. I have a male business partner, so we get it both sides. Whichever one of us it takes.
Excellent. Yeah, good solution there. Yeah, Linda, how about yourself?
I think, you know, because obviously we're in the beauty sector, they kind of expect you to be a woman, especially the type of products that we're selling. And when it comes to, like, you know, negotiating with, like, say, male distributors or getting in different partnerships, I've been told I have very male energy. So maybe that's just helped me.
Absolutely, 100%. Yeah, thank you so much for that. I will come back to Robin now. Robin, I don't think we got any questions, actually. So it was actually purely discussion based between myself and the companies. Do we have any questions? I've actually opened the chat at some point so that people feel.
Well, I was just going to say we don't, but with that, one has popped in. So I'm going to pass it over to you. So that'll be showing in published, where it should be.
So that's in Q&A, yeah? No worries. Still cannot see anything, but let me see in review.
How much does ESG come into your business now in terms of exporting? For example, offsetting carbon with transport, environmental issues, and so forth. I'm seeing one shaking head, so I'm guessing that Joanne and it's not a big thing for you.
It doesn't impact. But the one thing that we do is part of what we do is we understand products going through a cycle in an assembly line, and we also understand energy consumed and kilowatt hours, and we convert that to carbon. So we're enabling a customer to report on their environmental statistics, if that makes sense, and their net zero goals. But for us, because it's software, it doesn't really come into play. It's more that we help people understand that. Does that make sense?
Yeah,
totally.
Mm-hmm.
Susie, Linda?
I suppose with us, it's just beginning to start to come in a bit more now. Gosh, we'd love to be B Corp, but we don't have that available money for that. We are as kind of sustainable, very small footplate really as possible.
Yeah, we've definitely had to look.
It hasn't impacted on the exporting really.
We've just had to look at the type of plastics that we use, obviously, for the likes of like our false tan mousse bottles and stuff, and we do use recyclable plastic, and there is a new type of plastic out there which it's made from recyclable plastic. However, to be honest with you, it doesn't look great, and the price of it is so much more. So, you know, to change over to that there is going to obviously affect the cost of our product. But we try and look at other ways, like things that don't need to go in unit cartons, then don't put them in unit cartons, let them sit in the shelves by themselves, and you don't have that added cost. And also looking at, like, in terms of the cosmetics, what can actually be refillable, what can we actually, you know, produce, and then you've got like refillable. So we've introduced there like new refillable powders. We have another product coming out this year where you'll be able to buy a refillable pouch for it. So those type of things you definitely do have to think about, and the consumer is savvy about it, and they do like to see it in terms of like our, you know, our industry as well.
We have, funnily enough, on refillables, we have sold refills for the last 5 years, and they are our top selling product. But they do have to go into a recyclable pouch.
Yeah, that's
and then everything else is recyclable. You know, we're using glass, we're using peel-off labels now. And then all our ingredients are what goes into the jams and chutneys. So we don't have any waste as a food product, which is...
That's good to know, yeah.
Yeah.
Good.
Irina, may I ask another question?
Of course.
Yep. I think this is probably only going to be relevant to Linda. Linda, I think I heard you say earlier on you're starting to sell into Europe. How has GPSR, General Product Safety Regulation, affected you since it came in on the 13th of December? And how have you got around that? What's been your approach to it?
So all of our safety assessments, everything is all done by our factories, and anything that we are bringing in that the factory doesn't actually do the safety, we have an external body that does that for us. Is that what you mean? Yeah.
Yeah. So that you're putting, if you're selling into France, you're making sure that the right language is on there, the right data, the right contact points, that kind of thing.
We work along with an external company who helps us in terms of like the language, and then our factories and manufacturers help us out with everything else.
Fantastic. You're all over it. Absolutely wonderful. Great. Can I ask one more question, because I'm really excited now that I've got my voice on Irina's session. I know that with my two businesses back in the day, I had very specific sort of people that I looked at, and I thought they were my motivators, and in one case my mentor. Who have been the main people that have motivated you to go the direction that you have? Because let's face it, it's a big step to start your own business.
Great question.
Yeah.
Well, I have to say, for me, it was Jackie, actually.
Aw.
Because we both worked for a long time together from Dell and Hewlett Packard, and obviously we were successful, working really hard, but we thought there could be a different way, and we were
Yeah.
quite passionate about what we were doing and the technology space. But actually, we thought it might be easier. And can I say, and I think we all agree, it's not. It's not. But actually, there's a lot along the way that's
Yeah.
positive, of course,
Yeah.
and we're really glad we did it,
Yeah.
So, but yeah, that's our side.
I come from a retail cosmetics background, and used to work for Space NK. And Nikki Kennard, she's originally from Belfast. She set up Space
Yes.
NK, and I think that was a big inspiration for me. And not a lot of people actually know that she was originally from Belfast. And I used to manage the Lisburn Road store, and her mum and dad lived up the road and used to always come in. So, and also Jo Malone, like I love Jo Malone's story as well. So it's kind of looking at the people in the industry that I wanted to go into, that I really aspired to be like or be as good as.
Very good.
Fantastic. So you're off mute.
You're moved.
Again, I was sort of bored doing what I was doing. I'd done a few things, and children had left home, and so I started just in such a small way for 4 years, and then I was lucky enough that Bob came and joined me, and from there we've sort of just grown it.
Brilliant.
That's
Oh, lovely,
excellent.
thank
Yeah.
you. It's
Nice.
good to hear the human stories, the stories behind the stories, because people will just see you, they see your face, they see your products, but actually, it's just good to know that. I mean, we're all humans, we're all people, and we're all influenced by similar things. So thank you very much for answering that.
But by the
Irina,
way,
I don't know if
Robin,
I
you
don't
can.
know if you've seen the questions in. Sorry,
Oh,
the comments in the Teams chat.
absolutely. Yes. Very, very good comments. Very good response to the
Yes.
session. Thank you so much for all this lovely comments. And Robin, speaking about seeing faces, you are allowed to switch your camera on. Actually, we can't see your
Well,
face.
I
You can
didn't
see-
want to break the girl power. It's.
I was just about to say you are allowed. Yeah, thank you so much. That's great questions, and I think it's marvelous to I think it's a good note to finish the session, actually, to hear the story behind this women-led businesses. We all have stories to tell, and that was really great to have three companies and 4 of you on this session. Thank you so much for sharing your insights with us. I've just posted the contact email address for our colleagues in Belfast, the Department for Business and Trade colleagues. So for those companies who are listening to us today, reach out and have a look at our website, things I talked about at the start of the session. And once again, thank you very much to the speakers, to the contributors today. It was great to have you. It's not for the first time we met, and I hope to see you again. I'm coming to Belfast in February. I hope to see some companies actually who are on the call on our WIN program as well. And of course to my wonderful colleague Robin and his great questions at the end. That was excellent. And I think we are slightly over time, but it was very good, I think, to have you today, and thank you very much again for your time.
Thanks,
Yes,
Irina.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank you
so
very
much.
much. We'll be sending the
Thank
slides and the
you.
presentation later. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye bye. Bye bye.
Bye. Bye.